students, welcome to the course ECE 4007 Information Theory and Coding. This is lecture number 1. For lecture number 1 we are going to understand what is the information theory, the definition for uncertainty, self-information, average information, entropy or average information for the Markov source, also called as a dependent source. So whenever we are talking on information, we know basically information is always concerned with some communication, because information is something like messages conveyed from one point to the another point. So we can always associate communications information theorem with the communication system. So you already know the basic communication system. There will be a source, there will be a destination, there will be a source. The information will be traveling from source to destination through this particular channel. Let us talk on these channels later. So now whenever I am talking on information, we need to understand everything which is conveyed from one person to the another person is not an information. It has to carry some messages which is not known to the another person. Say for example, if I say today is Sunday night, then there is no information, because today when I am starting my recording, it is Sunday only, Sunday night only. So there is no information at all in this particular messages. So we are just going to measure the information. So for measuring the information, we can measure what is the amount of information that is transmitted or that is generated from the source, and what is the amount of information that is received by the receiver or destination. Say for example, if we give the notation of the source as X and destination as Y, then the amount of information generated by the source, we can write it as I of X. Amount of information received by the receiver destination, we can write it as I of Y. Now this I of X and I of Y are independent. Independent in the sense I of X is concerned only with respect to the source. I of Y is concerned only with respect to the destination. So this is called as self-information. Okay, so now when this information is traveling from source to destination through some channel, this channel is a intermediate thing between the source and destination. So this is going to carry the information which we call it as a mutual information, that is I of X comma Y. This is always a mutual information which is between the source and the destination. So you need to understand the different notation which we are going to use here onwards. First is self-information, it's I of X or independently I of Y. Whenever we are talking on mutual information is between two things. The notation is I of X comma Y, and you also have much more notation. You will also understand much more in notation later. That is I of Y given X, which is conditional information, or I of X given Y, which is also a conditional information. This is conditional information of destination given known source. This is conditional information on source known the destination. Okay, so let us discuss all these things one by one. So in this particular lecture, you will understand only the amount of information that is generated by the source. Okay, so whenever we are talking on source, first thing what you need to understand is source is generating information which may be analog in nature or discrete in nature. Whenever I say analog source, its analog is nothing but which is continuous in time, which is also continuous in amplitude. Okay, so analog, let me write it here. Analog is nothing but continuous in time and amplitude, whereas discrete is nothing but which is going to occur only at a discrete amount of time or at a particular periodical time, and it may be either analog in amplitude or discrete in amplitude. Okay, so discrete information or discrete source it will emit a sequence of letters, or in other words we can also say the output of a discrete symbol the output of the discrete source is a sequence of symbols. Okay, or string, it's a string or sequence of symbols. Okay, so in this particular subject mostly we will be concentrating only on the discrete source, not on analog source. We will be concentrating on the discrete source instead of the analog source. Okay, now next thing is we need to now measure the information. So how do we measure this information? What is the quantity for measuring this information? So like we will understand with this example. Let us say there is a weather forecast of Chennai in the month of May. Month of May, you all know, in Chennai it's very hot, very hot. So if the weather forecast is telling you three different messages. The first message is, it is telling you it will be sunny. It will be sunny in the sense there is no information at all, because we already know that month of May in Chennai is always a high summer and it will be sunny only. So there is not any information conveyed from the first messages. Okay, so no information conveyed here. Whereas the second, if the weather forecast is telling you it is heavy sea breeze will be there, then this carries some information, because most of the sunny days the sea breeze will not be there, and it is again not a very often occurring event. This event will occur very rarely only again. So here this particular message carries some information. Okay, so if the news channel is telling that tomorrow it will be heavy sea breeze may be there, then it carries some information. We can predict of whether to go to seashore or not, all these things. Okay, next, the third message is the forecast is predicting it will be rainy tomorrow. If it is raining tomorrow, this carries the maximum information. Why it is maximum information? Because it is a sunny days, it's a summer period, so sunny period. Rain will occur very rarely. So if it was predicted that it is going to rain, this particular message carries more information when compared to the previous two messages. So like when we are concentrating on measuring of information, what we need to understand is, if some event that is going to occur very rarely, then that information or that message is carrying the more information when compared to any other messages. So when we are interested in measuring the information, we are going to understand, we are going to relate this with respect to the probability of occurrence of the event. Okay, so if you take this case, the weather forecast of Chennai in month of May, it is sunny. The probability of the weather being sunny in the month of May in Chennai, it's a summer, you know, the probability of it is sunny is very large. Heavy sea breeze, the probability is not very large comparative to the first messages. Whereas it is rainy, the probability of occurring rain coming in during the summer season is very low. So if the probability of occurrence of the event, this is the third message, the probability is very low, whereas the information is maximum. So we can conclude that if the probability of occurrence of the event is very less, then the information is maximum. So so for measure of information, you can say that less the occurrence of event, more the information conveyed. So this is how we are measuring the information. So we will always associate the measuring of information with respect to the probability of occurrence of the event. Okay, so now let us understand this more clearly with respect to the discrete source. Whenever I am talking on discrete source, as I told you earlier, discrete source will generate a sequence of symbols. Every symbol may be having one or more messages. So let us understand about all these things later. So let us understand. So like one example of a discrete source is something like alphabetic source. Say for example, in alphabetic source A to Z, we are talking on English language. Always the English language is combination of the 26 letters, which is nothing but A to Z. So this we can call it as a discrete source. Okay. So now for measuring of this information, let us say we are having a source S with a set of messages M1, M2, M3, M4 and M5. So let us have a finite set of messages. Only 5 messages M1 to M5. Each messages is occurring with certain probability P1, P2, P3, P4 and P5. Why I am talking on this probability? Because whenever you take any discrete source or any analog source, not every messages is going to occur with the same probability. For example, take our case of alphabetic source. S is nothing but A, B, C keeps going up to Z. There will be 26 letters. Probability of occurrence of A will be very large when compared to probability of occurrence of Z. This you know very well, because mostly we will be using all the vowels A, E, I, O, U, whereas it is very rare to see the words starting with Z, the word starting with Q or U or something like that. Okay, so this is the basic thing. So whenever we are talking on any discrete source, every messages in the discrete source will be associated with certain probability. So for this measure of information, let me write it again. We are talking only 5 messages M2, M3, M4 and M5 with the probability of message associated with the messages M1 is P1, message M2 is P2, P3, P4 and P5. Now to calculate what is the amount of information conveyed by the message M1, we can write it as I of M1. As I told you, the notation for measure of information is capital I. Capital I of M1 is inversely proportional to its probability. It's inversely proportional to 1 by P1. So as I told you earlier, if the probability of occurrence of the event is very low, the information conveyed is high. Therefore, the information is always inversely proportional to the probability. So similarly, the information conveyed because of the message M2 is inversely proportional to P2. So this will be continued till for M5, which is inversely proportional to P5. Okay. So or in general, we can say information conveyed by some kth message is inversely proportional to its respective probability of the kth message. Okay. So this proportionality constant is nothing but logarithmic. So from this we can write I of mk is equal to log of 1 divided by pk. This proportionality constant is nothing but logarithmic. Okay. Now what is the unit of this measure of information or information measure depends upon what is the base of the logarithm. So if in general I am writing it as log base x of 1 by pk. Say if x equal to 2, then base of logarithm is 2. So I of mk equal to log base 2 1 by pk. You know 2 is nothing but binary. So this is measured in bits. If x equal to 10, then I of mk, the unit of I of mk is decibels or decit, which is nothing but log base 10 of 1 divided by pk. So the unit of information depends upon what is the base of the logarithm we are using. Okay. So if x equal to 2, it is measured in bits. If x equal to 10, it is measured in decit. Okay. Now before going to the example directly, let me elaborate this much more. So now as I told you, information I of mk is proportional to inverse of the probability pk and base can be x. We are going to use logarithmic of base 2. Okay, so we are going to measure all the information with respect to bits in this particular syllabus. So in unit of information is bits. Okay, so when you are using your calculator for measuring this information, what you need to do is you can translate. In your calculator you will be having only logarithmic, natural logarithmic or decibel logarithmic. So what you can do is you can write like this: I log base 2 1 by pk is also nothing but logarithmic of 10 1 by pk divided by logarithmic of base 10 into 2. So what you can do is you can use logarithmic of 10 or logarithmic of e. If you are using ln, you can write it as ln of 1 by pk divided by ln of 2, or if you are using of logarithmic base 10, logarithmic base 10 by pk divided by logarithmic base 10 of 2. Okay, so using the calculator you can use this. So please remember this formula which you are going to use for the example. Now take this example. A source emits 4 messages M1, M2, M3, M4. The probability P1, P2, P3, P4 is given. So you need to measure what is the information conveyed by this source individually of every messages. So I of M1 is nothing but, as I told you, we are going to use logarithmic of base 2 1 divided by P1, which is nothing but logarithmic base 2 1 divided by 1 by 8 can be written as logarithmic base 2 of 8, which is nothing but logarithmic base 2 of 2 power 3. 8 can be written as 2 power 2 power 3. Therefore, I of M1 is nothing but 3 log base 2 of 2, which cancels, which is nothing but 3 bits. Similarly, you can calculate for I of M2, which is log base 2 1 by P2. P2 is also 1 by 8, so the same information, only 3 conveys 3 bits of information. I of M3, the probability is 1 by 2. Sorry, the probability is 1 by 4. So logarithmic base 2 of 1 divided by 1 by 4, which is nothing but logarithmic base 2 of 4. So logarithmic base 2 of 2 power 2. So it conveys 2 bits of information. Whereas finally, I of M4 will convey you only 1 bit of information because its probability is only 1 by 2. So this can be written as log base 2 of 2, which is nothing but 1 bit of information. Okay. So when we are calculating the information, you have to associate the information value with its unit. As I am using logarithmic of base 2, the unit is bits. Okay. Now what you have seen so far is nothing but a self-information. As I told you, self-information, the notation is I, okay, of the individual messages MK. So now what you have seen is a source with 5 set of discrete messages M1, M2, M3, M4 and M5. Each messages are associated with the probability P1, P2, P3, P4 and P5. What you have seen so far is nothing but a self-information. Self-information is associated with the individual messages. Now, if you want to calculate the average information, it means that you have to understand the difference. Average information is associated with the source. Okay. So for this complete average information conveyed by the source. Okay, not by the individual messages. If the information conveyed by the individual messages, you call it as a self-information. Now we are going to talk on average information conveyed by the source because of the combination of all the 5 different messages. Okay, so average information of the source, not on the independent messages of the source. The notation is capital H. Okay, this is the average information, also called as entropy. Average information is also called as entropy. So whenever I am talking on average information, you need to understand it is not for an individual messages. It is for the entire source, which is going to generate the set of symbols with a combination of all possible discrete messages. Okay. So the general formula for average information, H, is nothing but summation of Pi log base 2 1 divided by Pi for all ranges of I. In our case, we are having 5 different messages. So H is nothing but summation of I equal to 1 to 5 Pi log base to 1 by Pi. If you elaborate this equation, you will have H is equal to P1 log base to 1 by P1, P2 log base to 1 by P2. Similarly, this will be extended till what? Till P5 log base to 1 divided by P5. Okay. Next, let us understand a very important properties of entropy. Here onwards I am going to use the terminology entropy instead of average information. The notation is capital H. The formula is summation of I pi log base to 1 by pi. Now let us take only two messages or binary messages. Okay, binary messages in the sense only two messages it will be having. So the source S is having only two messages, M1 and M2. Let us say the probability of occurrence of message M1 is P. Therefore, the probability of occurrence of message M2 is obviously 1 minus P. So the average information generated by the source H is nothing but P log base to 1 by P plus 1 minus P log base to 1 divided by 1 minus P. Now, if we try to plot a graph of average information versus the probability of occurrence, this is H. You are trying to plot a graph of the entropy for all the probability, and here I want to tell you this is an average information. So this unit of average information is bits per symbol. Okay, this you need to understand. The unit of average information is bits per symbol. Now the probability will take the value, minimum value of 0, maximum value of 1. When P equal to 0, what does it mean? The message 1 is not at all going to occur. When I say probability of occurrence of the message 1 is 0, it means that the source is always generating only message M2 and not M1. So under this case, there is no information at all, because we know always the source is going to talk the same thing, which is M2. Okay, so there is no information at all. So when P equal to 0, there is no information generated. Similarly, when you take the case of P equal to 1, when P equal to 1, again what is happening? The source is always generating only message M1, whereas it is not at all generating message M1. We are always certain that the source is going to generate M1. Here also this is certain, here also this is certain. Whereas P lies between 0 to 1, then only the uncertainty occurs. Okay. Otherwise, these two cases are certain cases. Certain in the sense, always either message M2 will come in this case or only M1 will come in this case. So we are always certain about the messages. Whenever P lies between 0 to 1, under this case only uncertainty is happening. We did not know which message will come. Either it may be M1 or it may be M2 depending upon the probability. Okay. So when P equal to 0, you apply in this equation. P equal to 0, this first term completely will be 0. And the second term will become as, here this point will become as log base 2 of 1, which again is a 0. So H is equal to 0 when P equal to 0. The same thing will happen when P equal to 1. When P equal to 1, this term log base 2 of 1 will give you 0. Here this term will give you 0. Okay, so again H equal to 0. So in both these cases, H will be equal to 0. When P lies between 0 to 1 only, you will be having the ranges of H. Now let us understand equally likely in the sense P equal to 1 by 2. P equal to 1 by 2, then message M1 will occur half of the time and message M2 will occur half of the time. So M1 and M2 are equally likely messages. So when M1 and M2 are equally likely messages, you substitute in this equation. This portion will give you 1 by 2 log base 2 of 2 plus 1 by 2 log base 2 of 2 again. So the answer is nothing but 1 bit of information. So capital H is nothing but 1 bits per symbol when P equal to 1 by 2. And you take one more case, say P equal to 1 by 4. When P equal to 1 by 4, you substitute in this equation, H will be equal to 1 by 4 log base 2 of 2 power 2 plus 3 by 4 log base 2 of 4 by 3. If you calculate, you will get H is around 0.811112 bits per symbol. Okay, so now you try to plot this graph. You know when P equal to 0, H is 0. When P equal to 1 also, H is 0. when p equal to 0.5 or 1 by 2, h takes the maximum value of 1 bits per symbol. When p equal to 1 by 4, it takes the value of 0.811 bits per symbol. When p equal to 3 by 4 also, it takes the value of 0.811 bits per symbol. So if you try to plot, if you try to join all these points, you will get a curve like this. Okay, it means that what you need to understand, a very important property of the entropy is nothing but entropy attains its maximum value when all the messages are equally likely. So if you are having 5 messages is equal to M1, M2, M3, M4 and M5, if all the 5 messages are equally likely, that is, this message will occur with a probability 1 by 5, every message will occur with a probability 1 by 5, then the average information capital H is nothing but you will be summating, right? Pi log base to 1 by Pi is a general formula. So for all the ranges of I, Pi is common here, 1 by 5 only. So you can directly write it as 5 times of 1 by 5 log base to 1 divided by 1 by 5. You can directly write like this. So capital H is nothing but log base to 5 for this example. Okay. So in general, if you are having a source which is not equally likely, under that case, so whenever you are writing the value, you have to write the units also associated. So log base 2 of 5 bits per symbol. So in general, if you want to calculate the entropy or average information of the source is generating a set of messages which is not equally likely, then you can use this formula, bits per symbol. If you are having a source which are generating messages that is equally likely, so then you can directly use the formula H equal to log base to capital M bits per symbol, where capital M is number of messages from the source. Okay. So this case you will use when source is having the messages equally likely. Source is having the messages equally likely. Under that case, you will go for capital H equal to log base to M bits per symbol. If the source is having the messages which is not equally likely, then you will go for capital H equal to summation I Pi log base to 1 by Pi. Okay. So now, next, what you have seen so far is nothing but an independent source. Whenever discrete source and independent source, in the sense the source S is generating, having message set of messages, finite number of messages, okay, with the independent probability P1, P2. So we call this source as a discrete source because it is having discrete and finite set of messages. Individually it is having independent probability. Okay. Now the source is called as independent source when the occurrence of the present message does not depend on the occurrence of the previous message. Okay. So please be clear. The source generating, say for example, the source generating the M4 for the first time, and next it is generating M2 for the second time, and it is generating M3 for the third time, something like this. Okay, it is a sequence of symbols the source is trying to generate, and if you have M4 is completely independent of what is going to come previously and what is going to come in the next, and M2 is also completely independent of what is M4 and what is M3, then it is an independent source. But practically if you see, the real-time sources are dependent source, not the independent source. In the sense, the message M2 generated will depend upon what is the previous message generated with the previous time. Okay. Similarly, message M3 depends upon M2. So the so say for example, we are using only um, in English. Say for example, if you say the source is generating the first letter is Q, then obviously you all know the second letter obviously will be only U. Okay, so this U is because the previous message is Q. This is always a certain thing because there is no words of Q without U as the second letter. Okay, so this is very second. Similarly, when we are talking on the dependent source, you should also understand if the source is generating the first word, say for example, the source is generating the first word, first letter W. You have no clue what will be the entire word. Okay, you have no clue because if the first word is W, the second word may be A, E, or U, or anything. Okay, O or anything. So if the source generates the second word, say for example O, then you will be having some clue. The some clue depends upon limited number of words only, not infinite words. Now it comes under the some set of words. If the third, it is also generating the third word R. Now you are now some much more confined. You have now much more clue. The word can be word only, or world, or worth, or worthless, something like that. Okay, so as the source is generating the sequence of symbols, on the generation of the first symbol, the information is very large because we don't have any clue. As it is generating the second symbol, third symbol, fourth symbol, it keeps generating the symbols. You will not have that much information because like you can easily guess what could be the word. Okay, so if the length of the symbol is large, the amount of information will be small. That is also there. Okay, so if length is large, length of the symbol is large, then amount of information is small. So when W alone is emitted from the source, you are not at all having any clue. You will be having combination of so many words. We can even say infinite number of words, which is countless. But once the second letter is coming, you can confine instead of having infinite, you can say it now it comes under some finite set of groups. Third letter, fourth letter is coming, then you will obviously have the clue of what is the respective symbol. Okay, so if the symbol is large, if the sources keep on emitting the symbol, then the amount of information conveyed will be very small. Okay, so this you need to understand. So now we are going to talk on the dependent source. Till now what we are talking is only on independent source. So I will repeat it once again. First, you understood what is self-information. That is information that is conveyed from a single message. The notation is capital I. Next, you understood the average information, or also called as entropy. That is information conveyed by the source S because of all the possible messages, and the notation is capital H. I is measured in bits, H is measured in bits per symbol. Now you are going to talk on the average information or entropy, but now the source is a dependent source. What I mean by dependent source is nothing but the symbol what is currently emitted depends on the previous symbol and also on the present symbol in question. Okay, so that you need to understand very clearly. So this dependent source. So now we are interested in calculating what is the average information or entropy of dependent source. What we are talking on independent source is different. Now we are going to talk on the dependent source. So when I am talking on the dependent source, what you need to understand is the source is in some stages always. We are going to make a model of the dependent source. This model of the dependent source is a Markov model. This Markov model will have n number of stages. N number of stages in the sense the source may be in any one of the stages. Okay, that is and it will emit capital M number of messages or letters. Okay, So this in Markov model you will be having n number of stages and capital M number of messages, and you should always understand this M cannot be greater than this N. M cannot be greater than N in the sense like this. M can be equal to N or M can be lesser than N, it cannot be greater than N. Okay. So in this Markov source you will be having some number of stages. The source will be in any particular stage and it will be generating messages depending upon whether it is transiting from one stages to the another stage. So I will explain you this with an example. Take a model something like this. Let me draw this first, then I will explain you everything. So let me draw this first. Take this model, Markov model of the source. It is having 3 stages: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Probability of the source at the initial stage in stage 1 is 1 by 3. Initial stage in stage 2 is 1 by 3. Initial stage in stage 3 also 1 by 3. I will explain you this. And it is generating message A when it is traveling from stage 1 to stage 1 with the probability of 1 by 2, or let me say 3 by 4. Traveling from stage 1 to 2, 1 by 4, emitting symbol B. It is staying in symbol stage 2 with the probability of 1 by 2, or going to stage 1 with the probability of 1 by 2, emitting symbol A, and it is going to this one with the 1 by 4 symbol C, staying in symbol C with the probability of 3 by 4, generating C. Now first you understand, this is an example which we are going to understand. This is an example of Markov model for a dependent source. From this I will teach you how to calculate the entropy. In this model you are having totally 3 stages. Stage 1, all the stages are given in the notation of circle. You can see this is stage 1, this is stage 2, this is stage 3, and this therefore small n equal to 3, and it is generating 3 symbols, capital A, capital B, capital C. So M is also equal to 3. As I told you, M cannot be greater than N. M can be equal to N or M can be lesser than N. Here we are having equal number of symbols and equal number of stages in this example. Now we are having 2 probabilities. One is the initial probability P1 1 by 3, P2 1 by 3, P3 is 1 by 3. What is this initial probability? Is nothing but probability that the symbol probability that the source is in the respective stages. So initially the source may be either in stage 1 or stage 2, stage 3. Say for example, if initially the source is in stage 1 and it will be staying in the same stage 1 with the probability of 3 by 4. Okay, you can see the transition from stage 1, it is going to the same stage 1 with the probability of 3 by 4, and it is emitting the symbol A. Or when the source is in the stage 1, it will go to the stage 2 when it is going to the stage 2 with the probability of 1 by 4, and it is emitting the symbol B. So you need to understand. Okay, now similarly if the source is in the stage 2 initially, then it will stay in the same stage 2 with the probability of what? 1 by 2. The message it is generating is capital B. If the source is in stage 2 and it will go to stage 1 with the probability given as 1 by 4, it is generating the symbol A. Similarly, the source is in stage 2, it will go to the stage 3 with the probability of what? 1 by 4, and the symbol generating is C. Similarly, finally, the source is in stage 3, it will stay in the same stage with the probability of 3 by 4. 3 by 4th of the time it will be in the same stage only. It will be always emitting in the symbol C, or it may go to stage 2 with the probability of 1 by 4. Now the source may be either in stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3 initially. Okay, so we are giving the equally likely probability for the initial thing. Okay, now it may travel from stage 1 to 1 or 1 to 2. So probability that the source is in stage 1, it is staying in the same stage 1, we give it as P of 1 1, stage 1 to stage 1. So stage 1 to stage 1, what is the probability? 3 by 4. Similarly, probability of the source from traveling from 1 to 2. 1 to 2. What is the probability? 1 by 4. Similarly, probability that the source is in stage 1 going to stage 3. Is there any possibility of going to stage 3? There is no possibility of going to stage 3. There is no connectivity between 1 to 3. Therefore, the probability is 0. Okay. Similarly, probability of 2 1. What is probability of 2 1? 2 from it is in stage 2 and going to stage 1 with a probability of 1 by 4. Stage 2 and staying in stage 2, it is in stage 2, staying in stage 2 with the probability of 1 by 2, and stage 2 to stage 3, probability of 2 to 3 is again 1 by 4. Now again P3 1, there is no possibility of stages from 1 to 3, 3 to 1 or 1 to 3. So 3 1 is also 0. Whereas from stage 3 it can go to stage 2 with the probability of 1 by 4. You can see here from stage 3 it goes to stage 2 with the probability of 1 by 4. Similarly, it can stay in the same probability, same stage 3 to stage 3 with the probability of 3 by 4. Okay. So these things we call it as a transition probability, transiting from one state to another stage. This is called as transition probability, whereas the previous thing we call it as an initial probability. Okay. So now to calculate the entropy of this source, this is a dependent source. The entropy of the source, capital H, here is nothing but, so entropy of dependent source, we are using the same notation only, we are not changing the notation, is H is nothing but H1 P1 plus H2 P2 plus H3 P3 for this case, or in general capital H is nothing but summation of Hi Pi, I equal to 1 to n, number of stages. N is number of stages. So measured in bits per symbol. So this is the formula. Okay. So what is this P1, P2, P? What is the Pi generally? Initial probability. Initial probability of ith state. Okay. Ith state. What is H1, P, H2 and H3, or in Hi in general? Hi is nothing but average information or entropy of ith stage. For every state we are going to calculate the average information or entropy with the same formula only that I will tell you next. So this is the general thing. Okay. So you know, for this example, let us calculate H for this example. For this example, H is nothing but H1 P1 plus H2 P2 plus H3 P3, because we are having 3 stages. So H is measured in bits per symbol. And you know P1, P2, P3 is the initial probability. I have given you P1, P2, P3 is 1 by 3, 1 by 3 and 1 by 3. Now we are interested in calculating what is H1, what is H2 and what is H3. So what is H1? H1 is nothing but summation of P1j log base to 1 by P1j for j equal to 1 to n. In our case it is 3, n is 3 totally, because from the stage 1 it may be in stage 1 or it may be in stage 2 or it may be in stage 3. So if you try to expand this equation, you will understand H1 is nothing but J is 1 to 3, no, so P11 log base to 1 by P11 plus P12 log base to 1 by P12 plus P13 log base to 1 by P13. You already know what is. So this P11, P12, P13 all are the transition probabilities. You have already calculated the values of the transition probability P11, P12 and P13. So if you substitute this in this equation, so so P11 is 3 by 4, P12 is 1 by 4. So you substitute in this equation. So H1 is P11 which is 3 by 4 log base to 1 by 3 by 4 plus 1 by 4 log base to 1 divided by 1 by 4. As I have told you already, if you are going to use the calculator for calculating this logarithmic value, you either convert it in the natural logarithmic or base 10 logarithmic. I am going to use base 10 logarithmic. So this can be written as log base 10 of 4 by 3 divided by log base 10 of 2 plus 1 by 4 times of log base 10 of 4 divided by log base 10 of 2. You can also directly, as you can translate 4 as 2 power 2, this will be become as log base 2 of 2 power 2. So this can be directly written as 2 by 4 or 1 by 2. Okay. So after using the calculation, H1 is nothing but 0.81125 bits per second. Okay. Now similarly, in the similar way H1, this is for H1. In the similar way, you can calculate for H2. What is H2? P21 log base 2 1 by P21 plus P22 log base 2 1 by P22 plus P23 log base 2 1 by P23. That is transition probability when we are transiting from stage 2 to 1, stage 2 to 2, stage 2 to 3. Already we are having the values. The values are here. P21 is 1 by 4, P22 is 1 by 2, P23 is 1 by 4. So we can use the same value here. So H2 is nothing but 1 by 4 log base 2. I will directly write it as 4. 1 divided by 1 by 4, we can write it as 4. And 1 by 2 log base 2 2 plus 1 by 4 log base 2 4. So you can write this as 2 power 2. This is 2. This can be directly cancelled. This you can write it as 2 power 2. Therefore H2 is nothing but, here you will get 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2, which is nothing but 1.5 bits per symbol. Similar way, you can also find H3 value. H3 is P31 log base 2 1 by P31 plus P32 log base 2 1 by P32 plus P33 log base 2 1 by P33. Already we know the value of P31 equal to 0, P32 equal to 1 by 4, P33 equal to 3 by 4. So put it in this one, you will get H3 is nothing but 0.81125 bits per symbol. Now you got H1, H2, H3 answer. I will write it here again for your clarification. H2 is 1.5 bits per symbol. And H1 is again 0.81125 bits per symbol. You got H1, H2, H3 values. You already know initial probability P1, P2, P3. All three are equal. 1 by 3, 1 by 3, 1 by 3. Therefore, you can calculate the entropy for the source. So this you need to understand entropy for the source in stage 3 only. This is entropy for the source in stage 2 only. This is entropy for the source in stage 1 only. Now you are calculating the entropy for the source as a whole, which is nothing but H equal to H1 P1, H2 P2, H3 P3. So if you calculate, you will get the answer 1.0408 bits per second. Okay, so this is how we are calculating the average entropy or average information or entropy for the dependent source. Okay, so I will conclude this for today's lecture number 1. What you have seen is just only a self-information, how to calculate self-information. how to calculate the entropy or average information of the independent source, and how to calculate the entropy or average information of the dependent source. Okay, so in the next lecture I will give you an idea of what is the information conveyed by the source, independent source, with only one bit, generating only one bit, generating 2 bit, generating 3 bit as a whole. That we will see as a separate lecture for tomorrow. Thank you for today.